Hey everyone, we're going to take a quick break to talk about our sponsor for the month, the Von Mack Agency. Von Mack is a full-service digital marketing agency with a focus on tour and activity operators. They offer it all. SEO, websites, pay-per-clicks, logos, content writing. If it's online marketing, they got you covered. As we mentioned before, it's uber important to hire an agency that understands our industry. And the Von Mack Agency knows water sports. Trust me.
And they do all the shit that you don't want to do. They do all the shit that you're probably not very good at, and they are. Look, for listeners of the show, America herself is giving a free consult, all right? If nothing else, give her a shout, give her a call, take 30 minutes out of your day. More importantly, take 30 minutes out of her day so she can get you straight on your marketing needs.
That's right. What do you have to lose? Head to vonmackagency.com and go to the Contact Us page to get started. Again, vonmackagency.com. And most importantly, let them know you were sent by the AWG guys. All right, let's get back to the show.
First,
who
do you think you are? Second, how dare you?
Let's first go ahead and get Nick introduced here. So Nick is back on for his second time. Nic Allegretto, Fort Walton Beach councilman, and he also is the owner-operator of Scooter Brothers in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. But Nick, go ahead and give just a quick introduction for those who haven't listened to the first show you were on.
Sure. Leave out your Thanos godlike power that you have control over those cities, grass heights, as well as mayoral, deputy mayoral decisions. Just leave out that portion of it. We want people to have the right.
So, my name is Nic Allegretto, for Long Beach City Council, Scooter Brothers, as Greg said, mayor pro tem of the city as well. So I get to fill in for the mayor when he's not there, which is a couple of maybe 6-7 times a year. Usually a lot of fun to run the meetings, but other than that, got a wife, 2 kids.
What else? Like, what's your favorite color?
I'd say I like all the colors.
Although such
I'm liking
political
red,
answer.
I'm liking red a lot less since I've joined this podcast.
For those of you guys, we're not doing video on this, so I decided it was like Halloween, so I ordered this hat, this Make America Great hat again. And I was wondering if it was just if it still had the political volatility that it once did. So I go out and my underwear and mow the lawn in it, and people give me all sorts of dirty looks. I'm like, is this because I'm in my underwear or because I'm just in my underwear with this hat on?
It's sometimes when you go into a business, I'm sure you get a discount for that hat, and other times you probably pay double.
It's so, don't you find it weird when people wear their political hat on their sleeve?
My God, yeah.
With their businesses? It's so fucking weird. They'll just torpedo half of their demographic, but
Yeah, I don't understand it. The strangest thing to me, honestly, if we're talking about this subject, is the flag situation. Why does everyone now have a flag? It's very bizarre. And the flags that have fuck, for example, on the flag. Bro, I don't know what part of making America great it is to fly a flag that says fuck somebody on the back of your pickup truck so that my kids are like, Dad, look, a bad word. Cool, man. That's cool. I used to laugh a lot when I was younger, and people would be like, oh, my kids are going to see that, or my kids are going to hear that. And now it's well, I guess this is really the culmination of all of that.
And this is actually, let's make the show kind of about politics and business. Should we?
Oh boy.
I mean,
yeah, I'm fine with it.
Because I think that this is a really important topic, especially with boat rental or just rental operators, because boating and politics seem to be synonymous, at least where we're at. You go to Crab Island any day and how many Trump flags are flying. Also, it's just a conversation you have, me being a distributor, I'm talking to a lot of our suppliers and that question comes up about your political affiliation, even in local politics, even though where Nick is being a city council, they are not affiliated politicians. But I'm guessing, Nick, that Republican and Democrat comes into play when.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, every single member of our current city council, and there's 7 of them, and you're right, it is a nonpartisan office, but every single one of them is a registered Republican. myself included. And I don't know that you would be able to, like, we had a woman who's on the council now was a registered Democrat, I think her whole life. We had an event where the local Republican Party had invited a bunch of us that were running for election. Hey, come talk to the people here at the local VFW, or it was one of those, American Legion, something like that. Come on in and you're invited. We'll ask you some questions, etc. She showed up to that event when she was running, and they told her, "You're not welcome here." And I mean, it was very awkward. And I even tried to advocate for her, like, "Hey, look, this is a nonpartisan thing. We want to hear what she has to say." And they were like, "Yeah, well, we didn't invite her, and she's not welcome." And so then she switched her party affiliation and got elected.
I mean, like, as a historical rule, like, Republicans are always known as, like, the party of inclusion.
And it still continues to this day. Like, the three of us would all be very included in that inclusion.
Yeah, I can't, like, Nick and I talked, I stopped by Nick's shop, for a payoff. No, I stopped by Nick's shop, and we were chopping it up, and like I was unsure for a second if you're a Democrat, you know. So I'm not, like, I don't even know where I fall in on this shit, because I mean, all transparency, I voted for Obama and Trump, so whatever you want to make of that, you know what I mean? Like, I always try to just vote for the guy who I think is going to win, you know? So, like, always just be on the side of the winning team. Like, yeah, man, fuck you guys, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg and women's rights and stuff, you know? Like, no. That's not at all feel that way. Yeah, but
Kevin, I mean, I like somebody who has your opinion like that a lot more than I like somebody who would just run down the line and vote for everybody with an R or a D. I think it's
it's madness,
ridiculous, and probably the biggest problem with politics, period, are the teams, you know.
Well, we're in a bad area when it comes to, like, straight ticket voting. No one really has things for themselves. No. And I mean, I give Bobby Wagner, our mayor of Destin. Bobby is an independent, and he won overwhelmingly in Destin in a heavily Republican town. So it really goes to show that you can win, but you have to work a little harder. I mean, a hell of a lot harder. Yeah. You really got to go door to door and get people that typically vote straight ticket and explain to them, who you are and your values. Because honestly, a lot of times, if you get to know the candidates, regardless if there's an R and D in front of them, you're going to agree with them on some points. And you might even like them. Are you tired of spending countless hours managing your water sport and boat rental reservations manually? Is your current system outdated or doesn't provide the necessary features that your business requires? Hi, I'm Greg Fisher, the CEO of WaveRes, an online reservation software built by operators for operators. With our system, you can offer 24/7 online booking to your customers, allowing them to book and pay for their rentals at their convenience. You can also send SMS notifications to your customers, keeping them updated on their reservation status and any changes that may occur. Custom options and dynamic pricing enable you to offer tailored packages to your customers, helping you stand out from your competitor. Plus, our system integrates with companies like Werewolf Digital Waivers and TripShock, streamlining your operations and ensuring a seamless booking experience for your customers. Our software is the best choice for water sport and boat tour operators, as it is designed to cater specifically to your needs. So why waste any more time on manual reservation management? Try WaveRes today and take your business to the next level. For a limited time, mention this ad and receive $100 credit when you sign up. Check out waveres.com for more info or to schedule a free demo. Now let's get back to the show.
True.
He came by door to door. He was like doing the whole door to door thing, and came around like this time. And I opened up the door, and he had his like little suit and tie on, and I was going to put candy in his bag. You know, I was like, hey, little fella. Jesus Christ, how old is this kid, man? He's fucking like 14, man. He's the damn mayor of Destin. But I don't pay attention, but I definitely didn't like the other guy before then. He was kind of a dick to our industry. So, like, I think everybody's right. We're all everybody's like always like self-interest, or like this tribalism sort of gets in, and social media and major news outlets, they play on that. They know if they divide everybody and they make it an us versus them, it's going to like Nick, we kind of chopped it up a little bit about that, where it's like, there's media outlets. They're saying like, hey man, I like ride in the middle and I believe in like, you can have your AR-15. I think it should probably stop around things that can blow up someone's house. I think that like common sense gun laws make a little bit of sense. But I also believe in a woman's right to choose, and you know what I mean? And like I've landed on the environment being fucked up, but I also feel like fiscal conservatism is like what we need moving forward at this point in time. And I think people aren't malleable because the values that we have are usually handed down to us in the household or our community. We get ingrained with this bullshit. Now it's even worse because the more you interact with it, like my TikTok is just a firm believer that I'm like 100% hardcore Republican. It's nothing but Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, Jordan Peterson. Cause I'm like, let me hear more. Like tell me more, Jordan Peterson. And then that's it, So where does the cutoff line happen? So like initially I wanted to bring you on because I'm like, man, like where does this line of like, sort of being a leader in your community for your average Joe, not for a guy that's going to run for office, but being like a leader in your business community versus being a leader in your business community that's like wearing their political beliefs like out front and center. Where does that, do you have a responsibility even to sort of, do you have a responsibility like even at like Scooter Brothers?
I mean, I think you referenced it earlier. I think it's terribly foolish to think that it's a good idea to cover your business in political signs, one way or the other. I think it's hard even in something smaller like a city council race or county commission race. You're just as you said, I mean, you're eliminating 50% possibly of your consumers that are going to have a big issue with that. I just think it's very weird that you wouldn't think it was weird. There's a guy down the street from us that sells used appliances, and he has a massive Trump 2024 flag hanging right on the front of his building. And it's like, I mean, you're turning off a lot of people, and whether or not that's something that's a core value of you, that's great, man. And you can talk to your friends and neighbors and, try to influence people on who to vote for. But I just think it's pretty bizarre to mix business with that. I just think it's a big turnoff to people. I don't know how anyone wouldn't get that. I think that's pretty straightforward.
We do some work with we do some conferences, and we were like talking about it, and we were waxing back and forth on like your values. They have a very value driven business, and I was like, man, it's like if we get into this, we talked about like the Florida ban, the NAACP and ACLU, and they did this Florida travel ban. And I was like, man, I think it's going to be like, if we got like 90% Florida operators in there, and most of them are probably DeSantis and Trump guys, and we'd like get into this conversation, man. Like, I don't know, it could, you know what I mean? You know how quickly the pitchforks and,
sure.
and the torches come out. And so I'm happy we decided against talking about it, because it's just like these hot button topics, man, and people, they just seem to like lose their fucking, especially over like the social stuff. Any times where it gets into, any type of social issues, and those are always the ones, and they always seem like, I don't want to say the least important, but definitely not the driver of like how shit actually gets done.
I see my wife's a big Facebook user, and when I'll walk by and she'll be sitting on the couch on her phone looking at Facebook, and I always say, "Dear Diary," and you can put "Dear Diary" in front of just about every post that's on Facebook, and it still makes sense. I mean, it is very much grinds my gears. Like it's too much.
Well, there's just so much information, and then everything is so skewed. And I mean, it goes without saying, but like it's so hard. Like everything is picked apart and dissected and shown in clips, and TikTok, as well, all of them. And then even major news outlets, you're expected to get like critical thinking out of a very nuanced subject in, a 30-second soundbite or a 5-minute think piece, or you see like these and you know what has really been sort of weird is I've been seeing a lot of guys that are historic. Like, have you seen like Bill Maher's content recently? Like, man, he is sliding to the middle. Like, and I mean, I guess he's always been a little bit more.
Honestly, I watch Bill Maher's show pretty much every week, and there are certainly times when he's very liberal, and then there's certainly times when he's very conservative and has an opinion that I think a lot of people would be shocked that he has. But that's just a great example of somebody that, if people actually gave that guy a chance and listened, rather than just being like, oh, that's a dirty old liberal show.
He's great.
He's great. He's really good.
He is. Yeah, I think he pisses off a lot of the young. And until you tell me, does it seem like there's been like sort of like classical liberalism in the last 20 years has like, it seems like it's changed. Like I don't remember it being, and maybe I'm just getting old. I don't know, but
I think
it definitely seems
it's changed on both sides, Kevin.
Yeah, that's for
sure. I just mean the left has adopted a level, what seems to me, of extremism that was historically on the right.
I don't know about this.
I
don't even know if you could start a question that way.
No, what do you mean?
The right is so extreme, but like,
well, that's what I said. I said normally it's reserved for like the tinfoil hats are usually the guys that are on the right, but I think it kind of started in our generation a little bit in 2008 with like the whole like the 9/11 conspiracy thing. Like they were like the first ones to jump on the neoconservatives. This kind of seems like it slid. Like, it just historically, the left is not like the conspiracy, tinfoil hat wearing crowd. And I don't know. It just seems like they've adopted that, or just more than likely, like media has picked up on the few that lay on the periphery and have made that seem as though that is that's the normal, or that's the status quo.
Well, I got to ask you guys a question. Do you have policies with your employers or business partners regarding their social or political values in public? Because when I was at Arrival, I was at a session and they were talking about a situation where one of their employees was supporting some type of group or whatever that was controversial and it blew up, but they're representatives of your company. Do you ever think about that? Does it ever cross your mind? Like,
I always feel like that this is a place, and I don't think any of us have a company that has 400 employees. So obviously at a larger company, it'd be a lot different, but at a small company, if you see that kind of stuff and, you're made aware of it, I don't think addressing it as the problem with them is really the right way to go. But you can certainly look at that employee through a different lens, maybe a little more strict on some of the other things that maybe they've not been doing correctly. And then, if it's a problem to the place where now it's coming back a lot, maybe now is the time to get rid of that employee. It's not necessarily that you have to fire that employee for those reasons, but I mean, there are plenty of reasons that you could let someone go.
Would you care?
My guys mostly argue about like Yardbirds versus Buffalo Reef,
and that's great. Those are great problems.
I mean, would you care if your employee was like, posting really crazy, like, political?
Wouldn't even be hired. Wouldn't even be hired. I mean, I stalk all of anybody's social media, and the moment I see nonsense like on their page, like, yo man, I'm getting hot till I die, I'm like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like, we're just gonna go ahead, not even deal with that, so anybody's listening, like, I
have an employee that was really nutty on social media, and it always bothered me and rubbed me the wrong way, but eventually it worked itself out. I don't want to, I mean, if it's their own personal thing. Now, I'll give you an example. We have a city councilman that loves to mix it up with people online.
I know who exactly you're talking about.
He is a very hardcore right-wing kind of dude. And he's mixed it up in the past with people on the city's Facebook page, which, correctly, I think a lot of the public did not appreciate and made their voice heard about it. But At the same time, what are the punishments for that? Probably just him not being reelected. And that's, unfortunately the only real guardrail that we have against that. I mean, we can't say you can't say things. I mean, and of course, this guy's also the first person to say freedom of speech, freedom of speech, freedom of speech. But, you're not representing your citizens, your city, or the job that you're supposed to be doing in a very good way when you're just constantly belittling and arguing with constituents about stuff that's very trivial.
I mean, whose mind are you changing in a Facebook comment thread? There's times where somebody says something, I'm like, and then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. I've got about 30 other things I could be doing with my time. I don't know, watching infomercials.
I usually type out one sentence, on my phone, I type out one sentence I wanted to say that, and then I just delete it. And I don't post it. I just will type it out and then delete it. And it made me feel better. I was like, I told you. And then
it's like taking fighting with your wife or something and taking a picture and going in the bedroom punching a pillow. You know what I mean? I hate you. Let me tell you how it's really done. Have you ever seen that? Speaking of TikTok, there's a guy he's yelling at his wife and she's off camera and he's like, and that's what I said. If I want to go out and drink beers with my friends, and that's what I'm gonna do. And then he stops. He's like, and that's what I'm going to do. And he's just practicing. There's nobody else in the room. His wife's not really off camera. It's just him in a room by himself, practicing to tell his wife off. I don't know. I love it.
So have you guys interact, Kevin, probably more so you than Greg, but have you ever had an incident with one of your employees, getting into it with a customer over political anything?
Yeah, we've had... Not getting into it, but where customers were racist to our staff, or said something as they were leaving, and it's definitely touchy because I'm like, if they do it, if they say the word, you know what I mean? I can't tell you not to swing on them, but if that's what happens, you'll still have a job. So I had a woman she called one of my employees a thug, and the kid's the sweetest kid on the planet. He's so nice, man. I just the last thing in the world that chance is a thug. And I was like, and I always use a chance, our negative reviews, I always use them as an opportunity. I never go back and forth with customers, but that one I was like, I hear what you're saying. I know what you're trying to say, and I'm good. I don't need your business. We're fine. You go on, man. I feel like if that's what your perception is as a young black man helping you with your things and helping you with your boat, that he's thuggish, I hear what you're saying loud and clear, and you can fuck off. So that's the only thing we've ever happened where, and they've asked me, I'm what should we do if a customer is being racist? I'm like, kick them the fuck out. Yeah. If it happens before their rental, terminate their rental, cancel their rental on spot. If it happens after the rental, there's not much we can do. Just tell them that their business isn't wanted here. But that's the only thing we've ever had that was an issue. And I told them, just call me. I'll get in my truck and drive down and deal with it directly if I have to.
We had a really interesting situation happen with one of our partners, and I'm not going to give their name on here because I think we're going to have them on the show in the future to talk about
this. But it was Delta.
So what happened was there was an issue with check-in, and there was a language issue, and they canceled the rental. So this young girl went on to TikTok and made this TikTok video that basically they were discriminated against, and they didn't give their money back, and she embellished most of it. Well, that TikTok video went viral, and I'm talking viral. I think it had
hundreds of thousands. Yeah.
We're talking millions of views. Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands comments. Of thumbs up and support. Yeah.
It was so. What was interesting about the whole thing is that politics played more into this than I thought, because what she was basically saying was, I'm at a Florida business. They were racist. This is just the climate we're in right now. So people were not necessarily triggered by this situation as much as they were what was happening in Florida with DeSantis, because it was fresh. It was right after the NAACP and all the LGBT stuff of boycotting. So it was fresh in everyone's mind, but they got absolutely pounced. I mean, the amount of hate calls, death threats, negative, almost every water sport business in town got negative reviews from the TikTok because they didn't know they didn't watch the video and see actually. I mean, people that weren't even involved got bad reviews. So it was a complete disaster, but it was fueled. The catalyst was DeSantis in Florida, not so much the situation. Now, it all ended up, going away. They still get calls every now and then, but, politics played a huge role in this. And they had a great response to the video. It was well thought out, and people didn't give a shit. They didn't even watch the response. They didn't care. Like the response where we don't care what you have to say. Florida's a racist state. This is just par for the course, basically.
What about you? Have you ever been attacked sitting up there?
No, I mean, we've certainly had our share of crazy lunatic situations, but
let me know one. I want to know one.
Well, I mean, I would say my favorite one, and it's not necessarily the wildest one, but it was right after I'd started. I think it was either the first or second meeting I'd ever been at. And so I'm sitting on the dais, and you guys, I think, have both been, I know you have, Kevin, I don't know if you've been in that room, Greg, where the city council meetings in Fort Walton are held. It's just a big, weird, round room.
Yeah, it's
and
small.
It's very small. It's very uncomfortable. It's very old. And at first, to me, it was somewhat intimidating, just to be in there. So this woman walks up to the podium and she stands up and she starts talking, and she's kind of very agitated, and she says that she claims that she has been hit because her house is behind the baseball fields where kids play baseball, that she's been hit with a baseball numerous times in her backyard. And her backyard is, I mean, keep in mind, I think it's been measured at like 480 feet away from home plate. So I don't know if you guys are baseball fans or have any kind of idea of how far that is, but I mean, 480
Fenway Park.
480-foot home run is a massive home run. I mean, like the shortest home runs, in right field, left field of Yankee Stadium, you're at like 325, 335 feet. This is 480 feet, and these are 13, 14-year-old kids playing baseball. And so not only have numerous kids slugged it over the fence, over her fence, into her backyard, but at the exact time that she was out there doing yard work or whatever. So during this speech, she reached into her purse and she very suddenly pulled out a baseball. And I thought, she's got a gun. So I immediately ducked down. They're shooting. But it turns out it was just a baseball. And now to this day, and this is a true story, she sits right next to me on the city council as an elected official.
Get out of here.
So that's cool.
I think you've got to be a little bit of a low-key weirdo, present company totally included.
Yeah.
I've got, every once in a blue moon, I'll look out for it. I rarely use Snapchat, but every once in a blue moon, Nick will send me a snap. I'm like this, at a party or something, or having a beer, some weird Snapchat. But I think you have to be slightly unhinged to be like, you know what I want to do with my spare time? It's get into local politics.
Totally true. Bro.
I stare out my window right now. I'm in my home office, and I see the cars, they race up and down my street, and they use it as a thoroughfare to get to 87 or 98 or whatever they're doing. And a cat got ran over, a little tiny kitten, and my daughter was just fucking, mortified, it was baby kitten, I'm like, God, these motherfuckers, it gets me so angry. They speed up. I should do something about that. And then I'm I just went and scraped the dead kitten, put it in a bag, threw it in the garbage can, and then went and played Mortal Kombat, It's fuck this, man. I'm at the end of the day, and I don't hate to sound completely totally cynical, but I just don't know how the fuck you guys do it, man. I think you've got to be you got to have a little of that lady in you, I think, you know. You got to believe that kids are just hitting 500-foot homers left and right, and like, you know, you're going to be the one to do something.
I mean, Nick, though, from a business perspective, because being on city council, you know, you do get a lot of opportunities to talk to other businesses. They get to know who you are. They get to know your business. There's got to be some value for people, because it's a voluntary position, right? You're not getting paid.
I mean, we get paid.
You do, okay.
What we do get paid, I would consider not really being paid. I think we make roughly $375, $400 a month.
Okay, so yeah, you're not.
Damn, you're getting rich.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that other than to help your community, you are, I mean, there is some benefit, right, to your business.
Sure. I mean, absolutely. And that would depend on everyone's own personal situation, you know, and whether that could benefit them or not. But I mean, you do absolutely meet plenty of new people, and have the opportunity to be in, you know, a lot of situations that you probably otherwise wouldn't.
Hey, if joining city council is a part of your marketing plan, you got to fucking screw loose.
That would be a rough.
Well, I mean,
but at the same time, I mean, you definitely, Greg, you're right. I mean, I think you get to encounter a lot of things and meet a lot of people that you wouldn't normally meet otherwise.
Yeah, I mean,
lunatics.
I also though, I mean, if let's say you're in a city like Destin, for example, that has a lot of issues with you know, boat rentals and things like that. If you own a boat rental company, wouldn't it be advantageous to be on city council to help, you know, potentially make favorable legislation for your city?
Absolutely.
I mean,
yeah.
If you have the time, a lot of businesses don't have the time to do that. But honestly, I think that would be a great strategy for if your industry is, you know, very controversial, then getting on city council or even a committee would be valuable for.
I bet you Nick went to that park out behind that lady's house, and he was like, "So the problem is the way the ball is bouncing off the grass. You guys need the Rototiller 7000. Really, you know, take the blades down at a 45-degree angle, and it'll take a little bit of the hop off the ball."
I mean, if somebody wanted to, you know, for example, say somebody was like, lawnmowers are too loud. You know, we sell commercial lawn equipment at my business. Lawnmowers are too loud. We only want battery-powered lawnmowers in the city of Fort Walton Beach. You know, obviously that would be something that I would have a big problem with, and I would strongly advocate against that. So, yeah, I mean, in that kind of situation, it definitely could help.
But wouldn't you agree, though, that as a general rule, a better – I mean, the free market generally almost universally wins these things, right? Like,
for sure. Absolutely. And
Uber.
I mean, to swing the conversation back around, that's probably the only reason I stay a registered Republican, is because that is what that party was supposed to be about.
Yeah.
Is just letting the free market decide and staying out of people's businesses and bedrooms and everything else.
And I'll tell you, man, like it was like when the whole thing was going on with the boat rentals and like, obviously I don't want to see our industry get stomped on, but there's obviously a lot of issues with congestion and the waterways, and obviously there's always going to be like legislation to adapt if I got 100 cars coming down my street doing 50 miles an hour, not 10, then it becomes a problem. Everybody gets together. There's only so much you can do to, if you're like the guy that puts the speed bumps out there or whatever, like, no, I'm telling you, speed bumps are the answer. And they're like, no, we have to do something else, whatever it may be. I think as a business owner, you know, before you run off and join city council to influence legislation, you have to be nimble and adaptive, you know, to the marketplace, because again, it's just ultimately, if everyone's with their pitchforks and their fucking torches, there's only going to be able to do so much influencing you're going to be able to do until you have to pivot or, you know, change your business model and be proactive and reactive at times.
And, you know, Nick, a couple of years ago when we decided not to do the moratorium in Fort Walton, and we've, you know, the city council voted unanimously, I think that the free market concept is going to work out pretty damn well in Fort Walton, because at one point there was a lot of new boats coming into the market, and now it's going the opposite way. You know, the demand has slowed down. I know operators in Fort Walton that are selling boats and reducing their fleets. So we let the free market run in Fort Walton Beach, and it's doing exactly what it should do. Demand fell. Now there's going to be less boats in the next year, and then it might go up in following years. But it's hard to relay that to other.
What's your favorite JP and Chad Kroger topic?
Probably schmoles.
All right, Greg, are you familiar with JT and Chad Kroger?
Is Chad Kroger the singer of Nickelback?
No.
Yeah, he is, but that's not the same guy.
Tell them what these guys do.
So these guys show up at city council meetings in and around the Los Angeles area and basically just screw with the city councils.
They troll them.
And they troll them hard. And they have just a very long YouTube series over many years with many episodes of this occurring. And it's always worth the watch. My wife probably wouldn't agree. She's not a huge fan, but man.
I've seen some of them. I've seen some of them.
What up, council? I just have waited years for someone to walk in and just do this bit with us, but it's never.
I like when I went to one of the Fort Beach Council, and Nick texted me halfway through. He's like, "You can leave now. You don't need to listen to this shit. You can go."
I actually there's a girl I know there last night at one of the council meetings in her business that she does. Her and her husband do like artificial turf. And I guess it's probably even wrong to say that, but it's the Forever Lawn is what it's called. And so that a pretty big expenditure was on the what's called consent agenda last night, which is we're not going to talk about all of these items. We're just going to vote on all of them as a whole, yes or no. And so we voted yes on it, and it's almost right at the beginning of the meeting. We got out of the meeting last night around 9:15-ish, and she stayed for the entire thing. And I walked over there and I said, "Man, I feel so bad. Like, did you not realize that was, already voted way earlier?" And she goes, "No, I just always stay for the meetings. It's good to learn." I was like, "Oh my God. What's wrong with you?"
Have you ever gotten into like an altercation with one of like the other city council people?
Not a physical altercation. I've wanted to get in a physical altercation. Several of them. But it's never actually happened. I don't know. I mean, it would have to be pretty bad for that to.
No. How like if people want to like get a hold of you and like you got like what are you? I mean, besides being the thing, like where can people find you and what services do you provide at Scooter Brothers?
Sure. I always give people my cell, which is 281-330-8004.
8004. And you will sell them.
As for Mike Jones.
Commercial lawnmowers.
And we'll sell a commercial lawnmower.
And you will also a disability scooter.
Yeah, we have mobility scooters.
And they fix everything too.
And we repair lawn equipment as well.
Yeah,
we repair it.
They fix my power washer. It still works to this day.
We do that.
Yeah, and you can find Nick at Republican Nick 69 at angelhandswiththez.com. He's the second biggest contributor. He's got a silver status.
Did your original email, like when you first signed up for the internet, contain 69?
Oh, I mean, I'm sure.
Mine did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I love this topic, like, of asking anyone that you meet. Like, what was your first ever email address? And be honest. I was Gretto69 at AOL.com. That's no joke. Like, somewhere that still exists. The password is probably out there.
Yeah. Mine was something like, I think it was like K O'Neill 4614-911. Like 4614. If you flip it upside down on the phone, spells high. Like, get high. 911 for your weed hookup, man.
Yeah.
Greg, I'm scared to know what yours is. You spent a lot of time in a dark room behind a screen, man. Like,
my aim.
Yeah, he was very disappointed in what you said.
What is it?
No, it was G Greg 7869. So you're right. It's 69.
Yeah.
7869.
It was pretty good.
All right. Well,
I think you give a 14-year-old an email address, and that's what they're going to do.
100%. Weeder 69. All right. As always, completely indicative of this episode. Thanks for listening, and keep it awkward.